You're listening to Leadership Powered by Common Sense with your host, Doug Thorpe. Here's Doug.
Welcome, everyone. You're listening to a new episode of Leadership Powered by Common Sense. I am your host, Doug Thorpe. It's our intent here to take all things about business, leadership, and management, break them down into some simple bite-sized ideas and things you can use. Today, I've got a really special guest. His name is Kelly Henry. He's technically Dr. Kelly Henry, and we're going to talk about that. He is a retired chiropractor who has taken his business experience and turned it into a coaching practice. And I think that's quite an accomplishment. And a lot of our discussion today is going to center on the theme of customer service. And I think that's an area that business owners of all types and sizes may struggle with from time to time. So I really believe we're going to have some good information here and some good things to talk about. So Kelly, welcome.
Thank you, Doug. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to it for sure. So tell us a little bit of that journey. So you came out, started a chiropractic practice, and just fill us in. How'd that all unfold?
Absolutely. So graduated chiropractic school in the late 90s and moved to New Mexico, near where my wife is from, and struggled along for a little bit. Actually ended up buying a chiropractor out and struggled along a little bit for a few years trying to do things on my own. And one of my buddies from school had hired a coaching firm, consulting firm, and he was doing real well. So I joined them as well. And they helped my business really take off to the point of adding a second location in a town about 30 miles away. And so just kept growing and expanding. In 2018, I decided to leave when I was on top, if you will. So I was doing quite well in my practices. I mentioned I'd bought a chiropractor out. I actually bought two chiropractors out in my career, and both of them had very little left in their practices for me to buy, which was, good for me, bad for them. And I just made a mental note that if I was going to retire, I was not going to retire and try to sell when I was at the bottom of the hill, so to speak, where I'd let everything die off. So again, in 2018, I was kind of at my peak. I sold out. I'd benefited so much from coaching in my career, in my life, that I knew that that would be what I wanted to do. And as you mentioned in the opening, customer service was a huge part of my chiropractic office and my success. I have a love for customer service, so I knew I wanted to speak about that. So I just meshed the two together, and here I am at this point, helping businesses grow, prosper, and achieve their goals and live their best lives. So
that's great. Well, not to get too far off track, but in your story there, I'm reminded of a frequent tale that I hear when I talk to people who are sole practitioners, doctors, lawyers, even some accountants at times. You build a practice, but the question is, what do you really have to sell? Because you are the business. And, what you do as a personality. I have a very dear friend who spent his whole lifetime as a veterinarian, built an amazing practice, but still pretty much him as the sole proprietor. I mean, he had employees and clinic people, but when he wanted to retire, he tried to put everything up for sale. And of course, everybody said, well, if you go away, the business goes away. Your clients or, pet owners loved you. They don't love veterinary medicine. They love you. So how does that work? So I'm sure when there is an opportunity, there is a vibrant and active book of business, maybe things can be more transferable and sustain some kind of value in that transaction.
And that's true. And my goal moving into 2018 was just to make the best business I could possibly create for whoever was going to buy me out, is what it amounts to. So I took a lot of steps in that regard and just looked at the business as a whole, very specifically, and then each piece very specifically, and how could I improve all those pieces. So when I sold out, like you said, veterinarian medicine is very personality driven. Chiropractic is very personality driven from the doctor to the patient. So I needed somebody that had a decent personality, but I wanted to give them a good product so they could just step in, follow my procedures, and do quite well. And fortunately, that's what happened.
So as you tried to develop that practice, were there processes and procedures that you focused on to try to keep things sustainable and repeatable?
Very much so. And I didn't come across those until, like I mentioned, I came across my first consultant and coaching experience, where they really helped me hone in on a lot of procedures that I just was basically shooting from the hip on prior to hiring them, and really getting those honed in and being very specific on those procedures. And amazingly enough, business took off once I was doing things in a more uniform, processed way.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things I tell my small business clients on a regular basis, that you've got to look at your business and take a hard look at the process that you've got to deliver either your service or your goods. And if that process can't be refined, number one, you squeeze out unnecessary costs if you can refine a process. But two, you then can start thinking about scaling. Well, how do I repeat this? How do I expand this? And as you mentioned, take it to another location. You can, if those processes and systems and procedures are mapped out, you can lift that up and take it to another location and increase your scale that way. Definitely.
Absolutely. So I lived exactly what you explained there.
So as you made the kind of pivot and really took a look at your customer service elements, talk to us about the early going of that. How did that kind of begin to take shape?
Yeah, I kind of backed into customer services as a piece of my growth. When we moved to the community in New Mexico where I practiced, smaller community, a lot of businesses have been there for many, many years, not a whole lot of competition. So when we moved there and having to do business with a lot of the companies there in town, became very apparent that a lot of these businesses, not all of them, but a lot of them could care less about customer service. They could turn on their lights and open their doors, and you had to do business with them. And I just hated being treated that way. Like I was just a number. They could care less if I did business with them or not. And so I just made a mental note that, I'm going to do something a little different in my office, and I'm going to treat my patients really well and make them feel like a rock star when they come into my clinics. Not even thinking that was, it was something that was going to help my business grow. I was just doing it because I wanted my patients to feel better than they did going to other businesses in town. But lo and behold, as we started doing that, patients loved it. They commented on it. They told my staff about it. They started referring their friends and family members. And that piqued my interest into, hey, we got something going here. How can we do it better and more refined? And so basically that started this whole journey for me, and learning customer service and refining it and bettering it and learning how it applies to different industries, and ultimately what I'm doing now.
Well, why do you think a lot of businesses struggle to define and for sure deliver good customer service?
One of the biggest obstacles a lot of businesses have in that regard is they think they do provide great customer service. That's the amazing thing, that most businesses have pieces of good customer service. They have a little bit of piece here and they do a little bit of here. And so they think that qualifies them as, well, we provide stellar or great customer service. But they don't see, or they have blinders to the holes in their customer service that they are losing customers and revenue through by, the hundreds of thousands or whatever the case may be. So it's that, just having that false mentality, if you will, that, we're fine with, we provide great customer service. Well, if you think you do, there's nothing you're going to do about it because you feel like there's not a problem. Well, if you feel like there's not a problem and you don't see the holes, then it's hard to convince somebody of that. But that is a big, big issue with many, many, many businesses throughout the country.
Can you give us a couple of tangible examples of what you changed when you started focusing your mind and your ideas on better customer service in your practice?
A couple things. One in particular was customer service really starts internally. So you have two kinds of customers. You have your internal customers, which are your employees, and you need to treat them well. And this is another big area that businesses miss the boat. And for a season, I missed the boat, pointing a finger at me. There was a point where I wasn't cracking the whip and I wasn't ruling with an iron fist with my employees, but I had the mentality that my employees were a liability, that they were only there to collect a paycheck, and that I need to micromanage and be on top of every little mistake they made and correct them for that. And, you can probably understand and think how that affected my office. And one of my coaches, I just happened to bring that up, and he called me on it and said, "Hey, listen, you need to change your attitude and think of your employees as assets. You need to start catching them doing good, because they're doing, 90-95% of the time they're doing good and not having issues, and catch them doing that and mention that to them and make sure they understand that they are doing good more than they are doing bad, and treat them like they are a valuable piece to the office, to my practice in particular, and see where that goes." And amazingly, things took off from there. But it's ridiculous to think that you can treat your employees bad and then require them to turn around and treat the customers good. It just doesn't work that way. So you need to treat your employees as good, if not better, than you want those employees to treat the customer. So that's another big facet that a lot of businesses fall short on, that internally they're just not treating their employees well and creating that internal atmosphere that they need to have to provide great customer service.
I think that's a golden idea, and boy, I think about a lot of situations I've been in, and you're right. When you have a business where your employees are really the first face of the business that a customer may see, if the employee just got their proverbial hind end chewed out by you and they're not feeling good about it, and now a new customer walks in, their face, their body language, and maybe even their attitude is going to reflect that. And that poor unsuspecting client or customer, they don't have a clue what's going on. They're just testing you and your practice or your business. So that's a powerful, have that front line in shape. They can give the good first impression and start the whole process. Well, after that though, then what do you see happening?
Consistency, or lack thereof, is really the key. Again, businesses may have pieces of great customer service. They may have, a lot of pieces, but it's not done consistently. And unfortunately, human nature is we don't remember the 12 experiences that are great. We remember the one experience that was bad.
Oh yeah.
And there goes a client, a customer, a patient out the door, never to return again because of the one bad experience. The stat is it takes 12 good experiences to make up for a bad experience. The problem is you may never get 12 more chances to make up for that one bad experience, and more than likely you won't. Most customers, about 95%, won't say a word to you. They won't say anything about that bad experience. They'll just jettison to a competitor. And so consistency is huge. You can be really good the majority of the time, but when things go south, that minority of time, that one time, it can be very costly.
So if that one time does in fact happen, and certainly maybe through no ill intent, just situational circumstance, what did you try to do to overcome that one bad experience with the customer?
You bet. And that's a great point, because it does happen. Human nature, and sometimes The issue is customer generated, misconceptions and things like that, and they're upset and there's issues there. And it can be business generated. It doesn't matter how it starts, it just matters that it happens and that it needs to be taken care of properly. From my standpoint, what I teach is you just own up to it, whether it's your fault, the business fault, or the customer's fault. You own up to it, you acknowledge it, and then you take care of it to the satisfaction within reason of the customer. Do it very quickly. And I tell, all my clients, and what I teach is you need to apologize, even if it's not your fault, and you can apologize without, taking on the blame. You can say, I am so sorry this happened to you, or I'm so sorry this is happening. Let's get this resolved and let's do it, do it immediately. What's very interesting is when there's an issue, and there's a time to do service recovery and try to take care of these issues. If you will own up to it, apologize, do things quickly and to the satisfaction of a customer, that particular customer will generally have a higher level of loyalty to that business. They will be the ones that are the mouthpiece and the referral sources for all kinds of people when a situation is taken care of, and they feel like they've been treated well through an issue, a service recovery type situation. So I don't recommend, causing false problems, but if you do take care of it right, those customers are going to be customers for life and will fight to the death before they leave your business.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. And I have seen that happen. You can be rocking along, providing good quality service or products, and customers are happy and they don't necessarily really say anything to you. But then that one thing that goes bad or blows up, whatever you do to try to recover from that is really what makes the big difference. And I agree with you. It's been my experience that if you do well on the recovery, you might endear a customer even more so than just a long run of good, steady service. This may be the area where we beg the question, do you think the customer is always right?
No, I don't. They're wrong. The key is how you treat them when they're wrong. And it's okay to treat them. It's okay to tell them they're wrong, but you can do it with a smile on your face and in a respectful way and still make them feel valuable, even though they may be wrong. And in extreme cases, it's okay to fire a customer from your business too. We've all had those experiences where it doesn't matter what you do to try to make a customer happy and appease them and make things right for them. They are going to find something to complain about and be upset about and be irritated about. And so at times, and it's a rare occasion, but it's okay to fire a customer. So, my thought and what I teach my clients is never say no. So a customer may come in and want a specific something or need this or that, and you just can't do it. That's just not within the realm of possibility or, procedurally or within the scope of your business. But you can give them options. You can tell them what you can do. You can give them, information of where they could possibly go get that done. But again, it's just the attitude behind how you're doing that. Where you still are conveying respect for that customer and that you appreciate them and that you're important to your business, even though you may not be able to fulfill whatever request or take care of in a specific manner that they think they want to be taken care of or have.
Well, so very true. And it looks like, Kelly, we're on a break point here. We're going to take a short intermission and we'll be right back after this message.
This program is being brought to you by Headway Exec, leadership coaching and business advisory services. Visit us on the web at headwayexec.com. Now, enjoy the rest of this episode.
All right. Well, hello again, everyone. We're back. We are visiting with Dr. Kelly Henry. He is a chiropractor turned business coach, and our specific topic today is customer service. Before we took the break, we were talking about the question, is the customer always right? And I want to interject a quick little story. I've written about it in my blog before, but once upon a time, the famous chairman of Southwest Airlines, Herb Kelleher, was a member of the board of directors at the bank where I worked. And Herb was invited to speak to a meeting of all the bank officers one day. And we were talking about customer service. And someone asked him the question, is the customer always right? And he said, absolutely not. And he told a story of a situation up in the Dallas airport, where, of course, Southwest is headquartered. But it was a rainy day. Flights were being interrupted. The schedules were all out of whack. Customers were pretty agitated, rightly so. But there was one particular customer that was very irate, and there was a gate arrangement there at the airport where 3 different gates kind of converged into one waiting area. So with all the backup kind of congregating in that area, this guy got more and more belligerent. And I mean, he was a pain in everybody's mind at the moment. When the flight finally was ready to board and the gate agent called out the boarding, they got up, and of course he kind of bullied his way up to the front of the line, only to find 2 Dallas police officers waiting for him. And they cuffed him and drug him off. And the terminal of probably at this point close to 400 passengers erupted in applause and cheers. So Herb's point was, he said, well, we know we made one customer very angry that day, but we made 400 incredibly happy. So he said that was a trade-off he'd do anytime, any day. So
Absolutely.
You had kind of alluded, Kelly, to the notion of, as a business, periodically you have to fire a customer. Any other thoughts on how that unfolds?
Well, and again, it's a rarity. But those one customers that I was talking about that are constantly complaining, constantly needing attention, constantly requiring you to go above and beyond more than you should. They are taken away from a business's ability to provide stellar customer service to the rest of their customer, client, patient base.
Right.
And so when that happens, it's okay to cut that customer off. They can go, they can be a pain in the rear end to some other business.
Yeah.
And again, you need to do it in a respectful manner, and communicate, not necessarily because of their belligerence, but just say, hey, we feel like you would be better off working with this business. They'd be more apt to help you out and take care of your needs better than we can, and send them on their way. But that's the main reason behind that, is when the 1% is affecting the 99%, then something needs to be done with the 1%.
Right. And inevitably, what I think small business owners lose sight of, there's a very magical number in your financial success. It's called margin. It's the difference between the money you collect and the cost of doing your business. Whatever that difference is your margin, and you certainly want to have a positive margin. But a customer that is causing those interruptions, distractions, and extra hand-holding, that eats into that margin. And whether you bill out on a per hour basis for your time, or it's a transactional fee kind of thing, the more time that you're investing, or the effort, or even materials sometimes in some businesses, to that problem customer is really eating up that margin. And it's usually a number that doesn't get tracked accurately in most every set of small business books I've ever seen. They don't really recognize that appropriately. And yet, if they can hone down the client base to get those who are good to work with, even I started to say easy to serve, and that's not the right answer. Sometimes it's still hard, but they're appreciative of it. They're loyal. They're faithful. They reorder. They return. you've got all of that going on. So with that, you can start building a healthy margin in your business.
Absolutely. And what's, when you're providing great customer service, and like you said, and you're attracting customers that appreciate it, you can often, and I'm not saying price gouging, but you can raise prices, and you can create a higher margin by increasing prices, because customers will pay a higher margin for whatever service or good that you're providing when the service is great. And so a lot of times when doing that, you eliminate the tire kickers, the people that just have a coupon and want to come in for a stop deal type thing. And so,
right.
To some degree, you can eliminate a lot of those, I don't like to use the term lower level, but the people that are not going to, they could care less about your customer service. They just want a deal, and they'll treat the staff or the business any way they want to, and not appreciative of actually what's going on.
Yeah. Kelly, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. Reading some of your material and things you've put out there, there's an underlying theme that I find very valuable. You talk a lot about positive mindset. How do you help a small business owner begin the process of establishing that right mindset?
Yeah, that's a interesting question. It's difficult being a small business owner. There's challenges, there's ups and downs, there's issues. We're just coming through hopefully a once in a lifetime issue that we've been dealing with for the last couple of years. And so it's easy to see the problems, and to focus on the problems, and to focus on the issues. And they're going to be there. But you want to have the mindset of being solution oriented. And you have to have a positive mindset generally to be solution oriented, meaning, there's going to be issues. It's not going to be all unicorns and rainbows. But you need to know deep down inside that I can handle the situation. We will find a solution to get us through whatever may be going on. So that's one aspect of it, is just redirecting to that thought that, let's focus on the solutions. There's going to be an issue. Let's not continue to dwell on that. Let's start focusing on what remedies, what opportunities, what solutions we have to take care of these issues. The other thing is to have the mindset that, again, fits in with being positive of, one, you want to have goals, but it's not if I'm going to achieve those goals, it's when I'm going to achieve those goals. And just having that drive, that's a philosophy I've lived for 20 plus years. But just having that drive, and it goes back to, being solution oriented. Well, I'm going to hit obstacles. I can go around them, over them, through them, whatever it may be, but I'm going to figure out a way, or I am going to get out with somebody who's going to help me figure out a way to ultimately achieve what I want to achieve. And so, just helping to instill those mindsets, again, really is beneficial to business owners, to help them scale, take the business to the next level, to achieve goals that they otherwise maybe not even in their realm of in their thoughts of achieving.
I like that thinking, and I'm a big fan of it, and I do a lot of that with my own clients. I use the phrase, there's a very valuable piece of real estate in every small business. It's the 6 inches between your ears. And if you can manage that real estate with a positive attitude and a fresh attitude about what you want to do and what you want to be about, it gets brutal out there. And sometimes you have to recalibrate. You have to pull back, take a pause, take some time to kind of re-engage and restructure. And as the word has said, renew your thinking about what you're doing. And I think sometimes it's easy for owners to get too far down the track without doing that, and sort of losing sight of what they really thought they could be about.
Sure. Well, and to your point, business owners do get too far down the track a lot of times. And it's what I've seen, and maybe you can attest to this, is they get into that emotional rut of making decisions on emotions instead of, like you mentioned, stepping back, renewing their mind, and being able to be more objective. That's certainly where you and I as business coaches come into play to help them be more objective and to make good decisions. But, business owner, there's an issue, they're making emotional decisions, which generally are never the right decisions. And then they compound that by another emotional decision, by another emotional decision. And then, like you said, they're down the track, down the road where, if they can be saved at all, or if they can be saved, it takes a little time to backtrack and get them on the right track.
So let me ask you this, and if I'm putting you on the spot, let me know, but is there a kind of a basic framework about customer service that you like to try to share with people? Is there a 3C, 5P, 6F kind of framework?
There is.
Okay.
So I call it the 3F plus 2C formula.
Oh, okay.
So you read
I
my
hadn't even
mind.
read that, but I took a good guess. So what are those?
That was great. So great segue ahead for me. Yeah, 3F plus 2C. So the 3Fs are friendly, or the first F is friendly. Of the 3Fs, friendly is the basis for all customer service. You start the middle, the end of every interaction with the customer. It has to be done friendly. Friendly is subjective. So the term I like to use is aggressively friendly. It's a smile on your face, look them in the eye, acknowledge people. If you own a brick or mortar, or you want to acknowledge them as soon as they're walking into a business. You want to initiate contact with the customer, being aggressively friendly every time, every interaction, make them feel important immediately. Is the key to being aggressively friendly. The second F is being fast and convenient. We live in an Amazon world, and people love convenience. They love fast. So the more convenient, the quicker you can be in providing a service, getting a good out to them, making phone calls, sending out invoices, whatever the case may be. Quick, fast, convenient is huge. So you want to be fast. Third F is being able to fix problems, which we already talked about, service recoveries, but being able to fix problems when they arise and do it in a manner that's going to satisfy the customer. The 2 C's are, first C is communicate. You cannot communicate too much to a potential client and or client, customer, patient. And just make sure you communicate everything, anything that you can on a continuing basis. And then the last C, and I've already talked about it, is consistency. You have to be consistent all the time to really make it work. But if a business will take this formula, the 3F, 2C formula, and plug it in and not worry about any other aspects of customer service, they're going to do quite well with the perception of customer service to their customer, client, patient base. So,
well, that's a powerful formula. So we've got friendly, fast, fix it, communicate, and be consistent. I love it. We're gonna we flashed those up as you went through them in the video version of this show. For those of you that are just listening to us via your audio channel, that's a great formula, and I'm going to go ahead and say it once again to help put it in or fix it in your mind. So be friendly, be fast, fix problems as they arrive, communicate, and be consistent with the work. I love that, Kelly. That's a powerful equation there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So speaking of that, how is the best way to get a hold of you if somebody's listening to this and is real interested in talking to you one-on-one?
Absolutely. So I have a couple different websites, drkellyhenry.com, drkellyhenry, all one word.com. That website is specifically towards my customer service business and coaching, if you will. My second website is bizprofitboost.com, all one word. And that's more towards my general business coaching that I do. Now, I certainly incorporate my customer service into that, but it's a little different entity. But those two websites are the easiest way to get a hold of me and message me or set up even text me or call me. The drkellyhenry.com, you also have a link to my book on it that goes through Amazon. My book is Define and Deliver Exceptional Customer Service. So I do have the hard copy, soft copy, digital copy, or the Kindle copy, and an Audible copy. So I know a lot of people like to listen to books while they're doing other things and multitask. So you can find that on drkellyhenry.com, or just go to Amazon and plug in Define and Deliver Exceptional Customer Service, and it'll pull it up for you.
Clay, that's great information. We'll have that out, and it'll be posted in the show notes, so you can refer back to that if you're wanting to capture any of those links. Kelly, this is great. We're coming up on the end of our time here. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and thank you so much. And again, been a real pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Doug. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. So this has been a good show, a fun show. Thank you. Well,
great. Well, that's a wrap for today, everybody. It's been a pleasure having you with us. We hope you found this valuable information about customer service to be helpful. Go out there and make it a great day. Take care of the ones you love. We'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Leadership Powered by Common Sense, hosted by Doug Thorpe. If you would like to know more about the coaching and advisory services he provides, visit dougthorpe.com.